Hi, I'm Brett Greenstein. I'm 6 foot.
Hi, I'm Colin Daniel. I'm 6'3", and you're listening to How We Roll.
That was great. Wait, you're both so tall.
Yes,
Okay,
we
now I
are.
feel extra short.
When it comes to working in entertainment, there's a lot of hows, and they all boil down to how we navigate this wild industry. While how we follow our dreams is uncertain, how we roll along the way is in our hands. Welcome to How We Roll, a podcast for actors by casting networks.
Hello, fellow actors. It's your friend Robert Peterpaul back to answer more questions that get you one step closer to following your dreams. Because not chasing your dreams? Well, nobody wants this. Today's episode features an insightful conversation with another dynamic duo in casting, the brilliant Brett Greenstein and Colin Daniel, currently earning major acclaim for Netflix's breakout hit, Nobody Wants This. Founders of Greenstein Daniel Casting, Brett and Colin have spent more than 20 years casting hundreds of hours of television and film you definitely know and binge. Some include Never Have I Ever, Superstore, Shrill, 10 Things I Hate About You, and even Melrose Place. They're Artios Award winners, Emmy nominees for The Muppets Mayhem, which is my brain, and recent Artios nominees for Nobody Wants This, which we unpack today, amongst other hows like how actors can pop in auditions, how we can approach co-star roles, how we can use props like pies in auditions, how we can all learn from Kristen Bell, come on, and so much more. Honestly, I'm gonna say it. Everybody wants this conversation. We also want you to submit your hows on social media at Casting Networks and at Rob Peterpaul. Thank you for being here. Here's how we roll with Brett Greenstein and Colin Daniel. We're rolling. Brett and Colin, B and C, thank you for joining us on How We Roll today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. It's our pleasure to be here.
Congratulations on everything. Most specifically on your hit Netflix series, Nobody Wants This, which I do want it. It's one of my comfort watches, and it's just, you've done such an incredible job, specifically with season 2, which we'll get into. But I'm thrilled to have the both of you here to pick your brains on that, on casting, and so much more.
Wonderful.
Love it.
Yay! So we like to start at the very beginning, which is rumored to be a very good place to start. Before you two came together and crafted, honestly, a resume of credits that I think is longer than, a method actor's backstory, I'm curious, what were your first your first paid gigs in the entertainment industry? Brett, we can maybe start with you.
My first paid gig was, I was like, this is my entry into the entertainment business. I was reading scripts and doing coverage, which is what they would call, I don't even know if they still do it. Probably AI does it now. But I would read scripts and basically write up sort of like a report about what the script was about. I kind of had to put in my opinion of whether I thought it would make a good movie or not. And basically I would give that to the development executives who were at this production company who were inundated with scripts. So a lot of the time they would just look at the coverage to kind of just see what the script was about. So yeah,
So
that was like
cool.
a freelance thing I did for a while before diving further into the industry.
Yeah. Is there anything you could share that you helped pass through that you sort of were like, I read this and then it got made?
No, I don't think I read anything that ever made it to a film.
It's so
That's how
rare.
many bad scripts, and that's how much, like, how many people are trying to make it in, trying to get a script in. I don't think, certainly nothing that I can remember that was a standout. No.
Okay, well, this is a good setup because that was literally your job and nothing went through. And the fact that y'all have touched sort of the Midas touch, I'll say, on so many hit projects is just a rarity. But before we get into that, Colin, what was your first paid gig? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess my first paid gig was actually I worked on a couple commercials as a casting assistant and a couple music videos. And then I quickly realized I wanted to be I knew when I moved out to Los Angeles, I wanted to work in casting in TV. And I literally got a book of TV casting directors and started calling offices, being like, "Do you need anyone?" And I happened to call the office of Jeff Greenberg, who did the show Frasier, and they happened to be looking for someone at that very time. And I ended up interning with him and staying with him for 6, 7 years and working my way up the ranks until the end of Frasier.
That's incredible. And then Colin said, I strictly work with greens because now we have our friend Brett here, different green last name, but
Right.
you want to be somewhere that's green, my buddy. And your initials are CD, which I'm sure you've put together a million
Yes, I
times over by
have.
now, but
It's all meant to be.
it's all meant to
CD,
be.
comma, CD.
Yes.
CD, comma, BG, which,
Yes.
different term in our industry, but it's pretty cool.
Comma,
So-
CSA.
Comma, CSA, comma, LOL. Flashing forward, you guys have quite the dynamic resume, as I mentioned here. And we have a lot of actors, obviously, that tune into our podcast. And I think aside from maybe the breakdown and breaking down the script, which we've talked about a bit on here, your collaboration really starts during the audition. And I've heard you both say the best tip you have is to simply be prepared. For beginners listening, I guess, what do you each think being prepared as an actor really looks like? What's sort of your ideal dream actor coming through?
I think it's someone who has maybe done some research, knows what the show is, if that's possible. It's not always possible, depending on if it's a pilot, something that hasn't aired yet. But just kind of knowing the tone of the show, I think is very important. And if it is a pilot per se or something that hasn't aired, I think you can look up other credits of the writers, see what kind of tone they tend to write for, just as a good starting place in an audition. Just coming in, with a little backstory of who you're auditioning for and what the project is always very helpful, because I think a lot of actors don't take the time. They're like, oh, it's another audition. I'm just going to lay it down on tape and go for it. And, to have a little bit more preparation, I think just puts you a little bit ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful advice. Are you retweeting, Brett?
Yeah.
Is
And
there
we
anything
never
you wanted
expect
to-
people, well, I was going to say, we don't expect people to be off book per se in terms of preparation, but certainly just feeling familiar with the sides, feeling like you can be loose with them. You can have them in front of you. It's totally fine. You can have them in your hand. We don't expect you to be off book until you're maybe further down the line in the process, like a chemistry read or at a network test. But just generally feeling comfortable with them, but also having them near you is totally fine. We don't expect people to be off book for that first round.
That's beautiful to hear, because I mean, I know I put a lot of pressure on myself to be off book, and I think if it's 2 pages, usually you can kind of handle that. But sometimes you have, a couple auditions in a day, and it's nice that you guys, it's a kind thing to sort of say that, especially in this world now where I'm sure as casting, you can tell a lot of people are using teleprompters just to kind of like bang it out. And there's all these apps that we have, which is so different. And I certainly want to pick your brains a bit on what's changed. But we do have a listener question that's kind of in this realm, which is from shout out to Kennedy Martin, KM. Talk about initials. I don't know why I said yours, but I did. She was wondering, how many actors do you typically call in for the roles where there is a tighter turnaround, the co-stars specifically, which I feel like co-stars are some of the trickiest auditions, right? Because sometimes you have like 2 or 3 lines and it's like, you want to act, but you want to be natural. It's like, just say the line. What's your advice there? And then also, how many people do you typically call in for those roles?
I would say typically for a day player, we'd probably call in around 30
Okay.
and then kind of whittle it down from there. We're actually going through that on an episode right now where we have a lot of co-stars, and it's on average around 30, I would say.
Wow, so it's just a win to get called in for a co-star, really. I mean, that's
we're
not a lot of
just
people.
going through submissions. You figure we have a submission out for a barista right now. And I think there's, almost 4,000 submissions. So it's highly competitive.
Yes, you need blue light glasses.
And the beauty that everybody, with the self-taping world now is we're seeing more people than we ever used to see, because before, in the before times, when we would cast in person, we had a limited amount of hours in the day. So, so maybe we would do an hour session, and that for a co-star for this barista. And maybe back then we would see like 12 maybe 14 people. So now with the beauty of self-tape, we can see more, we can go through them and kind of edit from there. But more people are getting opportunities in this new world, in this new sort of casting way, because we just have the beauty of more time and not having to
Mm,
be in a room for an hour, when we can do this at any time of the day and night and go through all the tapes at our leisure. And yeah, so I think the beauty is that more people are getting opportunities, even though it's only maybe 25 to 30 people. It's more than
yeah.
it used to be.
And I think
I love that.
we've I think we've found so many new actors that we never would have seen before had we been in the
Mm,
room because we could
yeah.
put out so many extra auditions to go through. And,
Hmm.
it might be a pitch from a manager we don't know very well and somebody kind of, on the new beginning of their career that we're like, yeah, let's give them a try. Whereas
Yeah.
when we were in the room, we'd have to be very particular in who gets those 12 or 14 slots because we know we need to get it cast
Mm,
that day and that hour. And now we have
yeah.
a little bit more flexibility. We've just met so many more actors and hired so many more actors that never would have had the opportunity, I think, in the old school audition way. And I know everybody has
Yeah.
pros and cons about both of being in the room and not being in the room, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I think the pros definitely outweigh it at this point for us, anyways, as casting directors.
That's something that comes through when I was researching the both of you, which was so fun because I've loved so many of the things that you've worked on to sound like a broken Muppet record over here. And that's something you talk about a lot is giving people their start or their chance, which has gotten a little bit more rare, I think, because you can see so many people now. But of course, look at Broadway, for example. Theater's all celebrities now, commercials, more famous people, and then it kind of trickles down to the guest stars, the co-stars. So that's super special. And I guess just while we're on the barista of it all, I wonder, what are your feelings on props? What are your feelings on seeing people hold the coffee cup, maybe not make it a bit, or maybe just create it in their minds? What are your feelings on someone maybe being by an actual bar? Like, do you just like to see a simple backdrop and a performance, or do you like to bend the medium a little bit?
I think keeping it simple, keeping it um, minimal is the way to go. Certainly, we've seen props where they totally work and it makes us laugh and they nail it. And other times we see people who just get so bogged down by a costume or props or
Hmm.
too much blocking, working the room. Like just for the sake of this, just keep it easy, keep it simple, keep it grounded. We all know what's going on in the scene. You don't
Mm,
have to telegraph everything in it because you'll just do that on the day on set. That said, if there's a prop that you wanna use that makes sense and it's not gonna get in the way and it's not gonna be distracting, sure, use it. We don't have a problem with it. It's just,
yeah.
we've just seen people, sometimes where it just gets to be, like, too much.
Hmm. Well, that's great advice.
Though I have to I remember one time we were casting a pilot a long time ago, and this girl was eating a piece of pie in her audition because I think they were in, like, a bakery scene or in a cafe scene, and
Yeah.
just the way that she was eating it and I would never really suggest people eating during audition, but the way she was eating it, also while doing the scene, I think it kind of what the and she ended up getting the job, and I
Mm,
just think there was something about it that was just really, really funny, and so, I don't know, you just have to make sure it's gonna nail and it's gonna land.
yeah, I think that's excellent advice. Props to that again. And I had a call back recently because I ate cake in bed, and that's what he was doing in the scene. And I think you can feel as the actor if it works for you and enhances your performance, or if it just becomes a bit. Like you can feel it. Don't let the prop be the
Yeah.
star.
Right.
Speaking of co-stars, and Nobody Wants This season 2 specifically, we have a bunch of new ones, like Rabbi Cohen's assistant. I remember in I think the first episode of the
Yeah.
season had a funny little bit. What is your advice for auditioning for those roles specifically? What do you like to see in a co-star audition?
I think just someone that brings their own natural take to it that we're not seeing in every other audition. I think a lot of times it just comes down to, yes, probably all 10 of these ladies could play the assistant, but she brought something extra to it in her read that it just kind of popped and worked and is the right role for the right actor at the right time. And
Yeah, and we gravitate towards characters. We just love specificity and just people who bring their own take to it or just their own sort of twist on it, and, we love wacky actors, we love character actors, we love just people who are just a little bit outside the box, and so that's the kind of stuff people that we gravitate towards, and I think, Luckily, a lot of our producers do too on many of our shows. We like a little bit of a quirk, you know.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I like a little bit of a quirk, a wine quirk, a personal quirk, quirk it up. I think for these roles, a lot of people, especially in comedies these days, are wanting to see more improvised takes. I know you said stick to the script. Do you like maybe a take that's a bit looser as well, or an improvised button? What do you sort of see for, I guess, a show like Nobody Wants This?
I think not too much improv for a show like Nobody Wants This. I think the writers tend to want to hear what they've written for the most part. A button or two I think is fine, but we're not a big let's do a whole improv take kind of show. Some shows are, and we've worked on many of those where producers really respond to that. But this one in particular, I think we tend to gravitate towards people who stick to the script, especially if it's a few lines. You don't want, if you have 3 lines and all of a sudden you have 7 lines in the audition, it's probably not the greatest idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And
The
especially
math
when you
is
only
mathing.
have 2 lines to begin with, if it's a co-star and you have 2 lines to begin with, get those lines exactly right. Like, we were just going through auditions yesterday, and the line is so simple for this one role, and this one actor just was, like, completely making up the line made sense, but it was just not the words on the page, and it was just I thought it was such a bold move. I'm like, "Wow, the task was so easy. You just had to say the line
Mm.
as written." And they completely just said something else, and they did it twice in both takes. So that's just not the way to go, especially on something so small.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Respect the writers, at least for the one take you're gonna send in, and then maybe again you could do a little fun run.
Yeah.
But for a show like Nobody Wants This, what makes it so cool, and I'm sure you know this, is that it thrives on these unexpected pairings. And I know the creator, Aaron Foster, originally even saw someone like a Nick Kroll, I think, in Adam Brody's part. Can you talk to me about how finding these unexpected pairings or choices sort of guides your process as the casting directors?
Let me think on that
Hmm.
one.
Like,
That's a
even with a barista scene, is it sort of like, okay, it's opposite of Kristen Bell or wherever it is. It's like, are you thinking about who would contrast nicely against each person?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a big
I mean, we
part
certainly
of it. A lot of times, just from the standpoint of the scene, we have to figure out who else is in it and stay away from someone who might look too much like Kristen Bell and Justine Liu. And that weeds out a lot of people right away. We're staying away from the blondes in that particular scene, most likely. Not to say we don't cast blondes, but just in terms of, a starting place when we're going through submissions, like, oh, that person, I think the look's too similar and there's probably not a great contrast there.
Mm.
and also just in terms of physicality also, like Tim Simons on our show, he's a very tall guy, and so sometimes it's really funny to pair him with someone really short, and and that just sort of, brings out the comedy of their dynamic. Other times it's great to have somebody that's almost at his level so that they can go toe to toe and
Yeah.
doesn't feel so imposing or intimidating. So a lot of it is physicality, a lot of it is just matching in terms of looks. And sometimes when it's a chemistry or a romantic kind of thing, we also think about that. The energy, does it work? Does it feel like the right vibe? Are these people gonna
Mm.
click? Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of times you don't know with chemistry. You hope. We were very lucky
Yeah.
with this show. I guess we did do chemistry, like Adam read with Tim Simons originally, so we knew there was chemistry there. Kristen read all with the girls testing for Justine's part. So we were able to see the chemistry, which is, a really important part of a casting process in a show, especially with
Mm.
an ensemble that's this small. So we were very lucky that once we had Adam and Kristen in place, we were able to do those chemistry reads because shows can live or die on chemistry. And
Yeah.
this one, luckily, it all kind of, everything, all the pieces fell in together. It's like a puzzle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this one's all about relationships too. So if the
Yeah,
relationships aren't working, the show's not really working. And I
exactly.
appreciate you sharing that. Something so hard to explain as chemistry because you kind of just have to feel it and see it. I wonder, just to make a pit stop really quick, I'm a Muppet. I got to ask you about the Muppets here for just a second because you did work with the Muppets on
I
a
did work
project.
with the Muppets.
You were Emmy nominees for this project, I believe. Speaking
Yes.
of that chemistry of pulling in stars, obviously most of the people working alongside Muppets are celebrities, interesting people to think about who would play off of them. I guess how dreamy was that, and how do you go about fitting those puzzle pieces together? Is it like, who would work well against a Muppet? Let's think about that.
Basically, for the Muppets, it was mostly once the agents knew about it, it was people reaching out to us saying so and so is a fan of the Muppets. And, we went to the big agencies saying, "Do you have that's a fan of the Muppets?" And surprisingly, the list is very long.
And we preface it with like, "There's no money here. You're not going to get a big payday, but you get to play with the Muppets for a day." And yeah, people just love it. And a show like the Muppets is a lot of cameos. It's a lot of stunt casting. It's a lot of pops of familiar faces, and that's super fun to do, especially when you get like a big star who's just like reliving a childhood fantasy of being able to play with
Mm.
the Muppets. It's really fun.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that was
gosh,
that
yeah.
was an awesome show. Bummed it only got 1 season, but we love doing it.
No, I love the Muppets. I'm actually going to the Creature Workshop in a couple weeks, which I'll probably black out. I'm so excited because
Okay.
the Fraggle Rock is coming to Broadway, so we're doing something fun with them. But looking at those big stars, I
Awesome.
guess on the opposite end, in regards to sort of the process evolving, you've also been very open about finding new talent on Instagram and TikTok and social media, which I think is so cool. What sort of pops to you when you're scrolling? What is it about somebody in the feed that makes you stop and maybe send it to each other and then possibly call them in?
That's a good question. Um,
I don't know if there's anything specific that I don't know. We're just so used to looking for someone quirky and funny and different that we're just kind of in tune with each other, where we'll be sending each other links or reels of someone that, oh, hey, check out this person. Let's try them for this part coming up. It's just kind
Mm,
of, I don't know that I can really put into words what it is.
we're not ever looking for something specific. It's just, and like I said earlier, we're just so attracted to characters and
mm,
to really such unique individuals. And so when we see, and a lot of the times you're not seeing people who are experienced or
mm,
they're pretty green, and they're just kind of just doing themselves. They're just like being who they are on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever. We don't know how they're going to be with a script. We don't know how they're going to be with sides, how they're going to be with material that's not theirs. So it's super fun to try it. And a lot of the times, sometimes it just does, they might not be ready. Sometimes they
yeah.
totally are. And, we've been able to hire a lot of people that way. It's an interesting avenue to find new
Yeah.
talent for sure.
That's so cool. It all goes back to green. I mean, it's not easy being green, I guess we could say.
Right.
Maybe it is sometimes.
These have been great.
There is something to be said for being green, though, because you're not thinking about the business end, which I think can sometimes hinder an actor's creative brain because they're thinking too much about
Mhm.
the business end of things, even during an audition. So I think that's super cool. But I do wonder, and I know you're so good at it and it's your passion, but how does that then feed into how sort of kind you are to the both of yourselves? And how do you refill your cup? Because if you're always, scrolling is downtime for a lot of people, but I get it. As actors, even watching a TV show, you're sort of thinking always about the business, but how do you do
I
that? Are
can't
you
watch
able
a
to?
TV show without having IMDb right next to me, and
I'm sure.
I see a cast, "Who's this guy? I've never seen them before. Oh my god, this person's amazing," or, "I wonder if this person's represented," or, just like I'm constantly looking people up every time I watch a show, so I see it in a whole different light because I'm enjoying the show most of the time that I'm watching, but I also, like, look at it from a casting point of view and just
Mm,
and I love when I see people I've never seen before, and when I see somebody who just really pops, it's like, "Oh, that's good for that casting director finding this
I
person,
was
I
I
love it."
was I've been watching The Pit, and I was just telling Brett, I was like, it gives me such anxiety to watch that show just thinking of all the parts they have to do in an episode.
gosh, I
We're
know.
used to half-hour TV where, maybe we'll have a big episode that has 15 roles, and then you look at a show like that, where just in 1 hour, there's probably 30 plus. I mean,
Oh
kudos
my
to them,
gosh.
that's a whole other
Yeah.
ballgame, and they do a terrific job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not so much the cast, but it's the scheduling of all those
Yes.
actors and just I can't even imagine those deals and how they go about making getting everybody to line up their dates, and it's just, um, it's gotta be a
Yeah.
monstrosity of a job.
I remember booking, I forget what it was, booking something during COVID, and I think I was like the COVID backup. Do you guys still have backups for things? Is that like sort of natural in case there's a
No,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
we really don't so much anymore.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But I think
those
like
days are
something like
gone.
The Pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they do when there's so much. You certainly have had your big episodes from two favorites in this household, I'll say, are Superstore and Never Have I Ever. And then, of course, Nobody Wants This as well. I know nobody, or Never Have I Ever, Nobody Have I Ever. That could be combined. We were hoping there would be like a little spin off for a while there. There were rumors,
I
but
There
know. There was
were
going to be
talk.
for a minute, but
I know it was so good. What do you two think? This is sort of a bigger question as well, but what do you think is the secret to really casting a good ensemble for shows like these? You know, Nobody Wants This and Never Have I Ever have that similarity of there being like big star power at the center with Mindy and Kristen. So I'm sure that kind of helps. But
Here,
is it like you're looking at one person and it all kind of branches out from
Never Have
there?
I
Like
Ever
a
was a whole different beast, though, because we needed kind of a teenage star that didn't exist. Uh,
boy, you found one.
and after I don't know how many
we did a worldwide
we
search
did
for
a
that part.
yes, a huge
Yes.
search, and we found Maitreyi in a, little town in Canada, and she'd never been on TV before, and it was, it was a big gamble for Netflix and everyone to take on an actor that's never been on TV, who's all of a sudden gonna be in every scene, and I remember when
Mm.
we first saw the dailies, we're like, "Oh, wow, she really did it," and
She did.
I think it was I said it before, the right role at the right time, the right person, and I think she kind of embodied who the character was at that stage in her life as well, which really helped,
Mm.
and we were able to build an ensemble around her, and luckily, I don't think we did a lot of chemistry reads for that besides her with her people playing her mother.
Porna is just
Warner was yes,
so
Oh
yes,
my
good.
gosh,
the
one of our
best,
favorites.
and
She's the best.
did we do I'm trying to remember if we did any chemistry reads with her and her love interest or not.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, I think you kind of roll
Mm.
the dice on a lot of those shows and hope it works, and the writers were so great, they were able to create a great love triangle that continued through the whole series, and that's
Yeah.
testament to them.
You roll the dice down. Wisteria Lane. I do just have to ask because I'm sure you did set visits. What was it like to shoot on Wisteria Lane? I mean, that's so iconic. I peeped it from the first
A lot
episode. I was
a
like, I
lot of
know that
a
house.
lot of that show was shot during COVID, so I don't know, I think we went maybe a handful
In
of
the
times.
last year.
It was
Yeah,
during
I
the
think in the
days
last
when
year one
casting was not allowed on set. Anybody extra was not allowed.
we got to do a few table reads in person right before COVID, and then
Everything can
didn't see everybody else for years until because everything was just online. So, I think we saw everybody at the wrap party.
Oh my gosh.
Many seasons later.
Yeah, that was such a great show. Well, I guess looking at another great show in location, with Nobody Wants This, the casting of Los Feliz is such an integral character for the show as well. And I know it's a quick commute for Kristen and some others, but I don't know how familiar you two were with the area beforehand, but it makes me wonder in general, do you do a lot of research and scoping out a location before you sort of put the people in that are inhabiting it? And how does that kind of influence your casting?
We're usually casting prior to the location being set for the most part. A lot of times it'll say in the script, we're shooting at whatever restaurant it might be. It might turn out to be a restaurant in, Los Feliz that they're wanting to use, but it doesn't always end up being that exact one. So we a lot of times are cast prior to that happening.
Mm,
Yeah. But I think the genius of this show is beautiful things of the show is that it's such a great love letter to Los Angeles and just, like,
yeah.
the way it's shot, the establishing shots, the montages throughout the city, and especially the east side of Los Angeles, like Silver Lake and Eagle Rock and Los Feliz and Highland Park, like, it's I just think they do such a beautiful job, like, setting the scene of the city and, just making you feel like you're a part of it, and I
Mm,
love it. I love how it's done.
Yeah, it's almost another
yeah.
character in the show is Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
so
yeah.
great because there's so few productions here now that we have the luxury of having a LA-based show too.
Mm.
Yeah, and I live on that side of town, so it's so cool
Oh,
to see, like, oh, that's place I get coffee, and we're having it on the show. It's so cool.
Yeah, we have good friends out there, and we were there recently, and they just got engaged, and they're like, "I want to do a photo shoot in front of the movie theater where they had that big kiss
Big
on the
kiss.
corner." And it's created such moments for people. People are so connected to this show that I'm sure it's a little easy to get new guest stars and recurring people for a season 2, a season 3. I wonder, in addition to Leighton, I love seeing Seth Rogen and Kate pop up, as the cool rabbi. How did those two come about? Because those two definitely stuck out to me this season. They were such fun additions.
Layton kind of came up in conversations, I think, in the writer's room earlier on in the season. And I think they went to Adam saying, "Hey, would you be cool with this?" And he's
Mm,
like, "I'm down if she's down." And she was on board right away. I mean, the great thing about season 2 is all of a sudden we had agencies and actors calling us saying, "Oh my God, I'll do anything on the show." We still get those calls of people saying, "I'm dying to be on the show." We kind of have
yeah.
a running list of people that we know are huge fans that wanna do something. It's just a
Mm,
matter of finding the right role for them now. Uh,
yeah.
Yeah.
but, ma major celebrities, a change from season 1 where no one knew what the show
Mm.
was, from season 2, then all of a sudden, Seth Rogen's a huge fan and make him an offer, "Sure, I'll do it." And, it all kind of fell into place real very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you get bigger stars then coming in. And it makes, I always am curious about this. Would sometimes they do, let's say Jennifer Coolidge is a huge fan of the show, and you're like, well, we don't have anything, but we have this barista. Like, would you ever sometimes be like, we do have a co star thing that maybe they'd flesh out? Like, has that
I
ever
think
happened?
sometimes that can almost take you out of it. If
Yeah, like
it's
a cameo.
a cameo in a really small part. We don't do a ton of that on the show. I think we're not real stunt casty per se for the most part
Hmm.
in general. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of Kristen Bell's friends, which is cool too. And obviously the show centers around her and she's also an EP. What have you two learned from working with her? Because she's such a well regarded powerhouse in this industry. And I wonder if you are taking away anything season to season.
She is so smart and such an amazing actress and such a, open and warm and really intuitive producer, and she's involved in every aspect and is so kind to everybody on set and all the actors, especially the guest actors who float in and out.
Mm,
And she was attached before we were, so she was on board from, very, very beginning. And always kind of said it was funny. It was like she was like, "You guys, it's Adam Brody. Adam Brody is the rabbi. He's Noah." And of course, we went through the process because that's what they hire us to do, and but she always knew it was him, and hats off to her because she was right. She
yeah.
was right, and
Yeah.
and I think and just everybody, she's just so well loved and liked in the industry. I think that's a lot of why we're getting so many amazing people because people want to work with her.
She is. People and animals. I need a sloth to be cast because I think she loves sloths, right? Was
Oh,
that a
I
thing
didn't
that
know
went
that.
viral? I don't know. I would love to see a sloth anywhere, I guess. Anyway, hats off to you two because season 3 is
Oh, thank
shaping up
you.
to be epic. I think you have Sarah Silverman,
Uh,
Andrew Reynolds, Porno, who we mentioned,
yeah.
and even the show's creator, Aaron Foster. As filming is underway, I guess, what are you most excited for fans to see this upcoming season?
Just a lot of things happen this season. It's full of I remember even reading the scripts being shocked this season, not seeing things coming, which I think
Mm,
Yeah.
is really interesting and fun. And, every time we get a script, we're just like a fan as well, being like, "Oh my God, can you believe this happens?" So some big things happen, and I don't know, I think it's shaping up to be a really, really great season.
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
it's super funny, super heartwarming. All your favorite characters are back. It's been so fun. We just have had so much fun this season, so we love it. We love
I'm
doing this
so
show.
excited. I can't wait for it to come back. We mentioned Porno from Never Have I Ever is also joining.
Oh.
I think one goal in life for people is just to work with people you love, right? And for those actors listening, what makes you want to keep working with an actor and have them cross over into the universe that you two are creating of your projects?
I mean, I think we just always have kind of I guess it goes back to days of being in the room with actors, that we'll always be like, porno's all we tested porno for a comedy probably 15 years ago.
Wow.
and she'd only done dramatic work. She didn't end up getting the part, but we tested her and she'd always been one of our favorites. Just having an ongoing relationship with someone like that's so great and nice to be able to continue to put her in things. When this role came up,
Mm.
Porna's name came up, and we're like, "Oh my god, if she'd do this for us, that'd be you know, the best." And of course, she was on board in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so incredible. I wonder on the opposite end, when someone's not on board in 2 seconds, when you have an actor that you're really championing and going sort of to bat for, and maybe the producers or whoever aren't quite sold, do you see something in general that sort of tips the scales when you're trying to get somebody cast? Is there one thing you can kind of do that you think has worked? Or I'm sure it's case to case
Um,
basis, but
yeah, it is case to case. I mean, I'm thinking about somebody we cast this season. We had to do a little bit of like, here's some clips of them doing comedy. Here's like,
mm,
look how great they look on social media. Here's, go to their Instagram and you'll see what they look like currently. And, because sometimes there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen and a
yeah,
lot of decision makers. And Colin and I we're matchmakers. We present options and you guys choose, who you want to work with. So
mm,
it's not up to us by any means, but we certainly will go do a little bit of extra side hustling to sort of champion somebody or to convince our producers, like, you guys, we're telling you this is the one and this is
Yeah,
why,
we
and do a
saw
little bit of extra.
the role
yeah,
particular role he's talking about is in the new season, and we saw a lot of people for it, and everybody was kind of on different pages. The producers all were liking different people, and it was kind of a pivotal role in the show, so it was important to everybody to get it right, and we're like Brett said, we're like, "This is the guy we're trying to tell you." And
yeah,
eventually everyone got there and they ended up loving the actor, so it all worked out.
And
yeah.
somebody who was supposed to be in 2 episodes is now in, like, 4 or 5, and
Oh,
they're obsessed with him.
I love that.
So, yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
best when that happens. I love hearing about
Yeah,
that.
that's also very gratifying to us, not that we are needing to be proven right, but we just love when
It's
people see
nice.
what we saw. Yeah. Yeah, it's
It's nice.
just
Yeah, it's
very
nice sometimes.
satisfying.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, it's also super cool. I just feel like to hear about casting, championing actors even more behind the scenes. I think a lot of people don't realize how much you two run the extra mile on the green field. Sorry to keep bringing up green. What about if you're between two, and it's super close? I feel like just knowing a person is a really good person to work with goes a long way, right? Like I'm sure you call around and find out how someone is as a person
for
to tip the
sure.
scale.
That can do we've seen it tip the other way this season, in fact. So it can, you know, doing a little research and I think, especially with our showrunners are so experienced, they know a lot of other showrunners. We know a lot of showrunners, so it's easy to shoot a quick text if you have a
Hmm.
question. But, for the most part, I think when you're down to the 2 choices, it kind of becomes, you're lucky either way. I think at that point,
Hmm.
there's benefits to
Yeah.
this person, there's benefits to this person, and you kinda have to roll the dice a lot of times in casting and pray that it works.
Yeah, and a couple seasons later, you might bring that other person in for something else too, right? And you never know.
Exactly, exactly. That happens all the time. I mean, there are people that, were auditioning for, Tim Simon's role during the pilot that ended up being on the show in another role, that kind of thing.
Mm,
So it happens
yeah,
all the time.
yeah, I love that. I love Tim. I feel bad I haven't mentioned one of my favorites on the show, Jackie Tone,
That's
who I'm just so
right.
excited has
Yeah.
now gotten this big
She's
platform because I've just been such a fan of
She's
her
so
for
genius.
years,
Yeah.
and I feel like you haven't been able
Yeah.
to really see what she can do. Yeah,
And she
she
really
was an
she really
amazing.
earned the part. I know the stories out there that she's Kristen's best friend in real life, but she really earned it. I mean, we saw a lot of women for that part, and
Mm,
she had to go through the paces like everybody else, and Kristen kinda took herself out of that role and just said, "You guys decide on this one," and
mm.
she really earned it, and it's so great to see her character kind of explode and turn into what it and, she's a series regular now, which is always great to see when a recurring role becomes
Yeah,
a series regular.
and she sort of sets up, I'm guessing, the next season with the conversation she has with Kristen. If they didn't have that
See this
conversation,
fall. Yes.
ah! Okay, well, this isn't that kind of podcast where I'm gonna be like, "What's going on next?"
Right.
But It is a podcast where we're going to play an unhinged surprise game. So ring the Kristen Bell because we're going to play a little round of something I made up called Everybody Wants This. The Everybody is You casting. So we can alternate, I think, between Brett and Colin. Though I have to say, I've interviewed a lot of duos, and you two are quite possibly the best at just naturally alternating. It's kind of great. So I'll throw out a phrase, and you respond quickly with the best piece of advice you have for creatives and actors listening.
Okay.
So, you can feel free to expand a touch, but it's sort of a flash round. I'll probably go on a tangent.
We'll try.
Okay.
Give it a shot.
This is the first one here. Everybody wants an actor's approach to networking in Hollywood to be.
So you stumped me already. Everybody say it one more time. I'm sorry.
I know, keeping the everybody's in these was tough. Everybody wants an actor's approach to networking in Hollywood to be sort of your advice on networking, I guess, really.
I think they want it to be easy and simple. I don't think it is for the most part. I think it's always important to put it out there what you do, because you never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to run into. And I think one connection leads to the next.
Oh, that was beautiful.
How's
I love that. That
Very
was
good
great.
answer, Colin.
That was a really good answer. So when slating, I don't know why I said slating, like I have a weird accent. When slating, everybody is excited when actors.
You got it?
When they give us like a whole body shot, when they give us good lighting, when they give us good sound, when they tell us where they are. You'd be surprised how many times people are just missing information. Like, wait, do you live in LA? We don't know where you are. So
like, don't make it a bit.
Keep
just
it
kind of
keep
follow
it
instructions.
Simple, though. Keep it simple. Keep the slates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I
don't
love
have
that.
to give us the whole background. Yeah.
Okay. For everybody to immediately suck into an act. Well, that was a weird way to write it. For everybody to immediately suck into an actor's scene, they should try to. So sort of at the top of a scene, is there something an actor can do that sort of sucks you in immediately?
I don't know if there's anything that sucks us in immediately. I think it's just kind of a instinct of doing it as long as we have, that you kind of just know right away, yes, this person's right, and it feels authentic, and you want to keep watching them.
Yeah, and when somebody makes it their own and just kind of puts a little bit of a twist on it, or just puts their own stamp on it, individualizes it, that's the kind of thing that we sort of spark to. Like, oh, I hadn't thought about doing it that way, but that's really funny. And like, that's just, make it pop. And we're not
Make it
saying be
pop.
big or be over the top. Just make it pop somehow.
Yeah, like bubblegum. Well, in the same vein, when
Yeah.
making a choice as an actor, everybody wants. So I guess to expand on that, I tried to keep the everybody theme, but I'm like, what am I doing, everybody? I wonder, making a choice can kind of be so vague and it's very personal, I think. What do you think that means? I guess if we're going to explain that to actors starting out.
I think making a choice is, having a clear idea of what the character is in your head and what you're portraying, knowing the material, and you're just having a real conversation. I think it just needs to feel authentic in that way, because so many, I think, auditions just don't feel real, like you're in a real situation, and it has to be authentic in a way that, oh yes, this person could live in this world, and you believe it right away.
Yeah. It's got to
Yeah.
be conversational. It has to be natural. It has to just feel like it just has to feel real. And sometimes we see auditions or the finished product where it just feels so presentational, and it just feels like they're putting on a show. And and again, it depends on what the show is and if it fits into that world. But for the most part, we respond to people who just keep it real, keep it grounded, keep it moving,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I love that. I think that's a nice recentering because, if you're auditioning for, I don't know, let's say a dad role, the choice could be the dad is tired and it's not the dad's wearing this. It's like the dad's wearing this and the buttons are a little off because the dad is tired. It's sort of like having something you can hone in on is what I'm getting, and I appreciate. Okay, as a professional actor on set, everybody wants you to.
Know your lines, be on time, and stick to the script.
Love it. When it comes to hiring a new team member for our casting office, everybody wants. Okay, the two of you.
Well, we specifically, we obviously we just like somebody who's a team player, somebody who's detail oriented, somebody who can just dive in to the pool and just get busy right away, and is willing to learn the way that we like to do things. Listen, we're making television here. We're not curing cancer. We're
Yeah.
not. So I think we just like people who are just like minded like us and just chill and
Mm.
We've been lucky. We've had the same associates for, I don't know, going on probably 10 years now, and
Oh,
we all
yeah,
have a
we have an
rapport.
amazing team, and we'd be lost without
Yeah,
them.
Alexa Pereira and
yeah.
Danny Dunitz, they're, they keep the show moving behind the scenes.
Hey. Well, that's a testament to you both as well, because clearly you're creating a good vibe, and it's all about the vibe. But sometimes it's not. So let's
It's
move
all
into.
about the vibe.
We're gonna move into nobody wants this category from actors. I'm just kidding. I thought that'd be so mean. We can't do that. Although it's sometimes good to debunk mistakes. Thanks for playing this weird game,
No,
and thank you both just for being here. We always end the show, even though I'm sad to end it, with a gotten or a given. So, the best piece of advice you've either gotten or have to give in this industry for everybody out there listening.
I think especially as a young actor starting out in the business, I think you just need to be realistic that stardom may not happen. It may not happen for a long time. The goal is to just be working and constantly bettering yourself. And if stardom happens, great, but that shouldn't be the ultimate goal. And I think you have to just be patient and you got to keep grinding and you got to network and you got to do the work. You got to keep studying and it will come. It will come your way, but just, the goal should be just to be a working actor and just to be grateful for all the gigs that come your way. Hopefully, you can make a living from it. Hopefully, it can satisfy your dream, but, I think you just have to be realistic about expectations and, all of that, yeah.
and
Yeah,
I think
well
some
said.
an important thing I think also for actors is to have a day job, have something else to focus on because it's so hard to make acting a sustainable living right now that to have some other outlet, whether it be a day job, a hobby, whatever it might be, just that keeps you satisfied in other areas of your life. So it can't be your main focus of
Mm,
existing, I think. I think it helps every actor if there's something else going on outside of, so they're not just in the acting lane 24/7 because
yeah.
it's such a competitive business and there's so many people fighting for these, two-line roles that
Hmm.
you have to have something else that keeps you going and makes you happy.
Yeah. I appreciate both of you saying that. And sometimes, well, actually, a lot of the time, the hobby actually inadvertently feeds sort of what you get cast as in a
Yep.
way. Do you see that a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Like I keep getting called in for host roles now, which is something I never thought would be a thing. But I'm like, I guess it makes sense because I'm hosting.
That's right.
So it's like, do something you
Exactly, you're
love.
very
And that,
good at it.
no, but I'm going to cry. Thank you. That was very sweet.
And the other thing we also tell yeah, and
Yeah.
that
Oh,
reminds me, just the
please.
other thing we tell actors a lot is just create your own stuff. Because there aren't so
Mm,
many opportunities right now, because Hollywood is in a little bit of a it's a little bit of a lull sometimes. We have peaks and valleys in the industry. Like, take the downtime to write and create things with your friends and make short films, make online content, do TikTok videos, whatever it is, just whatever your creative outlet is, if it's an opportunity for us to see you in a new light or an opportunity for you to just have a new take on something so that we could see you. I think we're always telling people, write for yourself, do things on your
mm,
own, and put it on your reel. We want to see it. We don't care if it's not an actual produced episode of television. We
hmm.
just want to see you acting. And
Yeah.
so we're always encouraging people to put that kind of stuff on their reels and clips online. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I think, I mean, you two are very established, but I think a lot of actors and people don't realize that it's a little similar in your court as well. I mean, sometimes you're pitching to get a project,
Yeah.
pitching to get a job, and we
Yeah.
all sort of need these things we can go back to recenter.
Yeah, we audition for jobs all the time and are hoping we get it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, that's we're all in the same boat.
Well, God, I am glad you got Nobody Wants This. Y'all are killing it. I admire you both so much. You
Oh,
just
thanks.
work on the projects that a lot of us aspire to. And so thank you for making us smile and bringing us joy at the end of the day with so many things you've touched on. And I wish you the best of luck this season.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Robert, happy to chat with you.
Thank you.